This is Dan Ferrisi, editor with Sound and Communications Magazine. Happy to be joined by Scott Wright, president of Lifeline Audio Video Technologies out of Wisconsin. Thanks for joining me, Scott.
Thanks, Dan, for the invitation.
So just to start, we've done a number of different projects of Lifelines over the last few years, but people who might not be familiar with your company, can you give us kind of a general overview of what Lifeline Audio Video Technologies is?
Sure, we're a full-service audio-video consultant contractor based in Wisconsin. We've been in business since 1990, and our wheelhouse is primarily churches, schools, auditoriums, municipalities, outdoor, football fields, racetracks, things along that nature. So we're a full-service AV solutions provider.
Since the topic of this conversation is really COVID-19 and the evolution of commercial AV integration in the context of the pandemic, I want to start with one trend that I've noticed and I've heard a few people bandying about, which is this drive-in experience resurgence. Whether it's drive-in concerts, drive-in stand-up comedy, drive-in worship events, what have you been seeing either personally with your own firm or just in general as a commercial AV professional in the world out there?
Well, I think we have to realize that no matter whether it's a concert or a worship service or whatever you mentioned comedy event, people are trying to figure out what is the new normal. How can we get our message, whether it be a worship service or that concert you mentioned, how do we get that message to our customers, which is people that want to receive that message in a way that is different than pre-COVID? We can't visit those facilities. So I think people are thinking outside the box as to, I have a product, which is many times a message, and how am I able to deliver that? And also, how am I able to deliver that with the market or the people that I'm delivering it to? An example is I attended a church last week and they're looking at streaming, but the youngest person in the church is 52 years old. So how are they delivering that message to their congregation when many of those people may even struggle with computer technology or streaming and not understanding some of this stuff? So where everybody is trying to figure out how do we deliver the most effective message we can and get that message across in the easiest way possible to the largest number of people. And I think people really are, wanting more of an experience, especially from us being kind of homebound and not being able to get out and enjoy some things like concerts. Where it really hit me in terms of the magnitude of what this is a couple of weeks ago, Garth Brooks, a country performer that we all probably know, announced a drive-in concert series where he was having 100 or 200 drive-ins have broadcast a concert that he was putting in or that he was performing in coming up. Actually, I think it's this Friday night. They're charging $100 a car to come in and listen to a concert with him performing literally states and states away. And at 10 o'clock that morning, they had 300,000 people in the queue waiting to buy tickets. Now think about that. Pre-COVID, would we have had over 250,000 people wanting to spend $100 a car to see a concert that is 10 states away from them? When you think about it, that's where we are today is people, obviously wanting that type of entertainment, and people like Garth Brooks being able to sell out movie theaters at $100 a car. I seen Garth Brooks last year in Minneapolis, and my wife and I paid $60 a ticket to see him live into a place. Now we're paying $100 to sit in a car and see him 10 states away. So I think that's where we are today. And I know others are doing it, Brad Paisley and others I see on Facebook that's doing it. he has a message, whether it's Garth Brooks or it's a church or it's whatever, he has a message and a product. How does he deliver that product, or how does a worship service deliver that product away? Churches are doing this now. If you could imagine pre-COVID sitting in front of 300 congregation members and saying, next week, what we want you to do is not get out of the car, turn on your radio, and sit in the parking lot and listen to a worship service, and then leave when you're done. Mm-hmm. That would have been a crazy concept. I mean, they would have, that would have been a crazy idea. Today, that's actually a way that we're receiving that message. So as an AV integrator, what we are doing at Lifeline and what the industry is doing, and I know many manufacturers are doing, is how do we create system solutions and deliver that message in the most succinct, easy to use message that you can put out to hit as many people as entirely possible and still produce your product, which is that message. And, every situation, just like every sound or video system, is different. We are doing 3 streaming systems next week, all of them using a different camera, a different streaming method, a different, set of products, because it's unique to every one of those customers. And that's kind of the world that we're in today, is changing a little bit of the products that we sell. And actually, us as AV integrators, I see this as a positive, because this is actually creating a new market in our same customers. We have another set of products that we could sell people with the same types of customers. We don't have to go looking for even new customers. These types of our customers we have, whether it's a church, a commercial business, a school, they have the need for this same challenge that they're having. We as AV integrators are able to provide that solution for them, which is another type of a market with the same customer, which means we can benefit from it if we do it right.
Right. You kind of anticipated my next question. Before we got on the call, you basically told me that Lifeline has been very busy throughout the pandemic. A lot of integrators have not been so fortunate, but you've really been able to maintain your level of activity, maintain your client base and your work throughout. What are the best practices that you would recommend to your fellow integrators, to the integrator community at large? Because as you and I both agree, now is not a time for stagnancy. Now is a time to be innovative. Now is a time to embrace new ideas, embrace new approaches, perhaps new products, perhaps new vertical markets. As someone who has been able to maintain busyness and success throughout this whole pandemic, what would you recommend to your peers?
Communication. The key to any success in these scenarios is communication. Some of the existing customers we had and that contracts that we have are not customers that came to us, but we went to them with the simple question of, as a church, for example, how are you handling the pandemic, or what are you doing for streaming services in your church right now? And they may, even though we're an AV integrator, they didn't think of us as a solutions provider for the problems they had. They took their iPad, they put it in the middle of the in front of the platform or in the aisle at church, pointed it at the platform and found, well, my $3 microphone in my iPad's not working really well, and I can't do all the video streaming I want, but I don't really know where to turn, because I called my IT guy and he didn't have any answers. For some reason, that didn't click to them to call a company like an AV integrator where you bought your sound system. 2 and 2 didn't come together. And we reached out to many of those customers and just asked them, how are you doing? Is there anything we can help with? Shooting even something as a simple email to say, hope you're doing well and staying safe during the pandemic. What are you doing to stream your worship services? Or are there things that we can do to help? Just as an FYI, we're here to help as a no-cost solutions. provider offering many recording and streaming options available to you. So if you'd like a discussion on how we may be able to help, feel free to give us a call. And we received numerous of those emails back just by being proactive with existing customer base of being able to pick up work. And actually, they appreciated us reaching out to them because in several instances, they didn't know where to go. You know, they just didn't know where to turn in. And you would think that they would think, well, we installed their audio and video system. Why wouldn't they turn to us for their streaming challenges? For some reason, that didn't click. Even though we offer those services, maybe we didn't do a good job in letting them know that prior to this. But communication with those customers, they increased business for us and they appreciate it. So we have been extremely busy. Extremely busy in during this whole time, and through the end of the year, we're actually expecting another growth year as we have the last 4 or 5 years at Lifeline, and it's just being proactive with those customers that we already had.
It's really amazing that you're forecasting a growth year, and it really does show the strength that Lifeline Audio Video Technologies has in the market, that you're able to serve your clients that well, and even in the most adverse circumstances, maintain growth. So I'm certainly very appreciative of the fact that you came on here to share some of your best practices, share some of your ideas. I think you would agree with me, we're one commercial AV family, so it's always nice to get out into the water supply these best ideas that are going to help improve our industry and improve our practice.
Well, I think the big difference for Lifeline that makes us successful is relationships. We don't have customers, we have relationships. And our customers, yes, are customers in a sense, but they're not box sales. We don't treat them as individual, transactions. We treat them as relationships with customers and wanting to know as much as we can about each individual client we have. And when you can create relationships, then that spurs more business and be able to help and have immediate trust in those solutions we're going to provide during challenging times like this.
Well, again, thank you so much, Scott, for taking the time to share your wisdom and your insights with us. This has been Dan Ferrisi, editor of Sound and Communications Magazine. Happy to have been joined by Scott Wright, president of Lifeline Audio Video Technologies in Wisconsin. Have a great rest of the day, and I hope to chat again soon.
Thanks.